All right, welcome to the Shatter the Script podcast. This is like week 15 or something, just outside of the Army and Navy week, sponsored by Palantir. And so finally, I know I've mentioned beforehand that we added 2 new contributors to the show. Turner got to appear. Chad had some takes within there. But now, as I promised, and like we've all been waiting for, Chad Aune is in the building. And we are very happy to have him. Chad, how are you doing, brother? Are you fitting in well? Are you you're a remote over there at the Brownwood lease or what?
Yeah, I'm over here at the ranch. I'm chilling. I'm on my break, so I'm very excited to be on here.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm excited because I know later in the show we'll get to it. You have some breaking news to share, so a little Chad bomb, if you will. And then, of course, Turner, welcome back to the show. I know we had a lot to cover in that last episode that we did.
I know, and I'm actually going to look at the camera this time. It's going to be great improvement already.
Dude, we were I know we're recording now, but off the record when we were talking before we started recording, I mean, it was just like a comedy fest. I mean, it took us almost half an hour to get started, just laughing back and forth. So we're in for a really fun episode. But before we get started with all the nooks and crannies in the outline of this episode, if you are a first-time listener or if you're a returning guest, welcome back and welcome in. You can find us on YouTube at Shatter the Script. And then on TikTok, Instagram, and X, you can search at Shatter the Script as well. STS_pod on X. Just pretty much everything's all under the same hood, and our Linktree bios are in each of our social media platforms. Something to be noted of. This is pending, and I don't know when it's going to end, but the TikTok account is under suspension. I'm not sure what's going on. We're close to 700 followers. We had a clip pop off that I don't know if it's what is categorized as controversial, but 3 straight clips were taken down and the appeals were rejected, and they haven't responded to my submission. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but if you are following on TikTok and you learned about the show on TikTok, we post the same content on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube Shorts, that sort of thing. And then places to listen. Of course, we post YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So anyways, welcome in. And Chad, again, welcome in. A little background on you. If you didn't catch the post that I made for the audience, now this is a 4 or 5 year college football veteran in the FCS level at Stephen F. Austin, SFA, as a tight end. Played the Battle of the Piney Woods a couple of times, so there's a little added rivalry to Ryan, my brother, who went to Sam Houston, and him, although Chad got some playing time.
Yeah. I got to see the field, the analyst.
That's right, yeah. And Ryan would probably laugh at that, but also punch me in the face. I see him on Thursday as we go hunt, so that'll be
Merry
fun.
Christmas.
Exactly. But another thing, too, is we joke about off the record. We're like, we got this every week. We predict college football games, the top 10 or the 10 games from confidence, like 1 least confident, 10 most confident. And I believe, Chad, you were the winner. I think.
I didn't know if it was finalized. I know Turner was like, a point or something behind me?
And then was a point behind him. And then I think literally he chose Indiana, I chose Ohio State, and that was just the dagger. Chad chose Indiana for some odd reason. And then
dude, I believed Indiana was going to win that game. Like the way they've been playing all year, I was like, yeah. I mean, especially beating Oregon and then having that fantastic ending touchdown against Penn State. I was like, dude, I don't think Indiana's going to lose against Ohio State.
Yeah. And I think honestly that game itself, how low scoring it was, kind of proved testimony to how great both teams actually are. Like I think sometimes when good teams collide, when they haven't played one another all year at such a time when the season is peaked, like it makes sense to go low scoring. But yeah, that was a crazy time, and we were like, oh, we got to get Chad on I put it like in the caption. I was like, he's the leading college game day predictor in the STS contributor pool. So
splendid job with that post, by the way. That looked awesome.
Dude, yeah, thank you. Like that actually took some work.
I was like, I was kind of curious if did you just throw this into Canva? It's really good.
The unspoken truths about being an independent podcast guy is you have to pay some money to get some tools that make shit look good. And Canva's one of them. CapCut's another. Like you just go down the line. Like it gets expensive. So, but I'm surviving out here. And let's get into it. So the outline for today's episode, it's not as jam-packed as the one 2 weeks ago was with Turner, but there are some controversial topics that we got to discuss today because, as we all know, the Michigan head coach Sharon Moore is going through quite the crisis, and we're going to kind of go in through there and shatter the script on those takes and what's next for Michigan, who might be available in terms of head coaching vacancy, which there practically is no vacancy unless you want to go hire Mike McCarthy from his couch. And then in addition to that, the transfer portal includes a lot of premium quarterback names that, there's a lot of question marks surrounding it. Another one that I didn't list on there would be like Bryce Underwood, who's questionably maybe going to a different school now that Michigan is going through that scandal. And then, of course, the big kahuna is we're going to predict the conference championship games and talk a little bit about the G5 tickets within that. So jam-packed episode, boys. And I think, we were talking about before. I was like, we should get to the breaking news at the beginning. But I kind of want to open it up with the Michigan head coach sort of thing. I think last week, I think all this was starting to happen right when I released last week's episode. And so watching it all unfold, I think Chad was monitoring this one pretty closely because he kept sending the updates. And I see Turner laughing. At the beginning, I'll clarify. At the beginning,
no. Technically, no. We literally texted it in the group chat first, and then literally not even 5 hours later, he's like, "Y'all see the Michigan coach get fired?" You're just like, "Oh my god!"
Give me a break. I was in finals week. My head was wrapped around the tests, all right? I was like, okay, let's do this, do that. I got on Instagram for maybe 10, 15 minutes. I saw that and went, oh my God, I didn't even think about reading y'all's text messages.
Yeah, you probably should have, because literally Jared said, "My brother, scroll up." And then
yeah, bro, it was. But I'm talking like the early stages after like the scandalous happened.
Yes, then Chad was definitely on top of it.
He zoned out. But before then, it was like I remember getting updates from Chad like he was Adam Schefter. I was like, "Holy shit, we're getting Chad Aune bombs left and right."
Is that what they call it now? Just Chad bombs?
A Chad bomb.
Chad bombs. All right, that's cool with me. I'm cool with that.
An Aune bomb would be even funnier. It's like, well, either of you guys would drop a bomb in this episode, But
I'm calling Aune bomb when I rage bait Turner.
Exactly.
Just flips out.
So, getting down to the nooks and crannies. I mean, I guess the timeline of it all. And I haven't decided. I like to. This is a Shatter the Script podcast. Like I'm all about debunking the mainstream media with the coach's actions, what's next for Michigan. But in terms of what we know, what has been reported from the police station in that general area and from the people close to the program, it's speculative. This is the only speculative part that I'm just not 100% sure of, that this has been an ongoing for majority of the season. And the Michigan AD and program kind of did their best to wait until after the National Signing Day was complete so that they haven't had an additional time to, one, acquire the players and not have some mass exodus because of this altercation with the head coach, and two, to have that loaded roster and to find a new replacement. But in the meantime that they knew about this scandal, I think they were in search of a new head coach. Who that is, I don't know. There's been a lot of names popping up, but what happened was, I'm trying to get this right. There was an alleged affair going on. He has a wife with 2 or 3 kids, and he had an affair going on with a woman within the athletic department. I should add a young woman within the athletic department, who reportedly was knocked up by Sharon Moore, and they took countermeasures to have that baby born. And basically he got caught. And from there, it escalated into a domestic dispute at his family's house. which led to it kicking down a door at the what do you call that? The mistress house, into which he had a weapon and threatened to kill himself and kill that person, and then the police took him in and he had to answer for what he did. And I don't know. So Chad, I kind of want to start with you. I know it was a lot, just kind of like just laying the wood down basically, but in terms of
pause.
Yeah, no, sorry. That's perfect. I was just waiting for Turner.
I was just listening so hard right there.
It was so quiet. Whenever like I stopped talking, it was like pitch quiet. I was like, this is like a really serious segment.
I had to lighten the mood a little bit. Like,
yeah, no kidding. So I kind of want to gather both your thoughts, and I'll start with Chad on it, just kind of saying, like, when you're watching this unfold, do you think that do you think the Michigan program knew about this prior to when it happened? And two, I mean, just your thoughts on what happened in general. Like, I feel like it's appropriate to get those two takes.
I honestly think when it comes to situationally, I think it's like insane to have a wife, 2 or 3 kids, being on a $13 million contract. I'm like, you're just going to give that up for lustful desires? Like, that's ridiculous in my opinion. And then with the university, I have no idea if they knew or not. But like, when we were talking about this earlier, like there's allegations that he did stuff after, like when they won the national championship, and I mean, allegedly, I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah. And so I don't know if they were just trying to hide it as long as they could, or if they seriously didn't know about it. Because I feel like something had, like, word had to have gotten out even before she was pregnant. Like, I feel like, in my opinion, like before she knew that she was like knocked up, she had to have told somebody. I mean, her salary increased. I don't know how much. I think she was making like $50K, and now she was making $90 as hush money.
What was she doing? Insider trading with foreign countries?
Yeah, what is this? A congressman? Like,
this is why your account got banned.
Just hired Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah, my name's Ian Crenshaw.
Yeah,
we better be careful. He might sue us.
That's wild too, by the way. Well, that's a completely different topic, but the Sean Ryan show stuff, that's wild. But yeah. Anyway, continue.
I was saying, like, he was like, I just feel like somebody. It was either everybody was like totally caught off guard by this, or a lot of people knew about it. Like, it's just kind of like a flip of a coin. Like, it's, I guess, investigation will figure that out. I think they're still in investigation when it comes to, like,
I feel like
how long they've known, especially for the university. Like, if they've known for a long time, like, there's going to be some consequences for that. But if they figure out, like, hey, they just found out, like, and they did it instantly. I mean, they fired him as soon as like that came out.
Yeah.
Which kind of begs the question, like, did they know? Because they did that so fast. He was gone in an instant.
Yeah. It kind of was like, I mean, the timing was impeccable if you think about it. And Turner, I'll let you add on to that. Like, when you're looking at it in terms of the timing, and the 2 previous questions I answered for Chad, but like, or questions I asked Chad, is like, as soon as the season ended, this stuff starts happening. And right before they're basically announced to a bowl game, right before Army and Navy, all this stuff occurs and all this news comes out, and then the value add, I guess, the in value add of him going to each house happens after the news breaks. Because if you're looking at it from a timeline wise, it was, he's fired. There's a report. Okay, he did this. Now there's a crime. Now he's incarcerated. And you're like, holy smokes. Like, it just kind of piled up as if it was unexpected for Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
Is that how you interpreted the situation?
I mean, my side of the script take is that they have known for a while, and when they finally found the instance to have him kick the bucket, they pounced on it. I mean, the only reason, dude, they were 7-5 the season prior, but they beat Ohio State. So you can't really get rid of a coach that beat Ohio State when that's your biggest rivalry of the year. I mean, they were borderline talking about Ryan Day being fired, and then he won the national championship. That was like his only saving grace. You're like,
serious
like,
rivalry.
go kick rocks. That's ridiculous. But realistically, like, I think it kind of lined up to where, hey, all this stuff is kind of unfolding, and it's kind of probably getting a little bit more out of control because I just don't think he was all mentally there. I don't want to assume. I mean, that's just with all the stuff that we're seeing with reports and what he was doing and how the crimes are adding up. You're kind of just think to yourself, like, dude, how do they just like let this all slip by? And so I guarantee you, there's probably like a stopping point to where like, dude, we gotta let him go. Signing day kind of really kicked the bucket for all that. They're just like, hey, we got our guys. Now we can go have him go and then look for another alternative replacement with what the guys that we have and kind of just start a rebuild from there. I don't think they'll really have a great year next year, especially since they have, probably a lot of guys are going to enter the transfer portal once it opens in January. I mean, we'll see how it goes from there. I mean, dude, I don't know how it's going to go, especially with all the players that just signed up. Could they also enter the transfer portal after that?
Yeah.
That's just a question that we can also ask here.
Yeah, I think, in terms of how college football is currently formatted, to answer your question, I mean, these guys are eligible to do kind of whatever they want. There's no contracts that you're allegedly responsible for, although there is a lot of like tweets going out with athletes saying that we've signed this player to a contract extension of sorts. And so, but there's no like they have it's like they're contracted, but they have the ability to go find other contracts, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
And so Bryce Underwood is obviously a big name who was heavily influenced to go to Michigan because of Tom Brady, Dave Portnoy, and there was a lot of influence. And there was initially, I think, some interest from LSU. So in terms of, what is this program going to do? Where's it heading? All of the coaches have practically already been found and hired in a lot of cases. And we talk about the college football calendar. And so that's where my take comes in, saying that they knew about it earlier in the season and they decided to wait until that National Signing Day hit so that they wouldn't take the hit player-wise, because Lord knows that program would have gone way down under if those players hadn't signed, if those players hadn't committed to a 9-3 school that had beaten Ohio State the year previous, that was this close to a college football playoff appearance this year, with a freshman quarterback as talented as Bryce Underwood going into his sophomore season. Like, there was a lot of upside for Michigan, even with Sharon Moore, who, I said months ago, I don't think is the long-term, the long-term coach. I actually thought he was always a bridge coach. But on top of that, you have the scandals, the legal scandals that they're going through about whether or not they cheated under the Harbaugh era. Sharon Moore was part of this Harbaugh era, and so there's speculation to what are they going to do about the AD? What are they going to do about all these different hierarchical levels within the Michigan program, because they're dealing with a ton right now, and Lord knows that the government takes forever to do anything, and anything collegiate wise is going to take forever to make a final decision on something. So, I believe at the end of this thing, whenever it comes to a conclusion, I think they're going to be penalized in terms of like playoff appearance, in terms of, and what is that going to do for the players? I don't know. But Chad, what do you think? Like when you look at, maybe they waited after signing day. What are these players eligible to do? There's no more coaches out there. Like, I mean, what do you think would be the next move for Michigan if you were in their shoes? I know that's a hard question to ask, but because we don't know all the legalities of it all and what you're allowed to do per se. But if it were you, how would you want to play this, and what would you forecast for Michigan?
Well, for Michigan, I think the AD came out and said he's like an open checkbook, like he's ready to hire like whoever he needs to hire. And I was also reading an article just about just a bunch of coaches that they could hire. But to go on a player perspective, like I have no idea what these kids are thinking going in. They just signed to go to Michigan, and then that happens. Like, do they get the same treatment as like current players that are there that get that if the coach is fired or if the coach leaves for a different school, that they have the free ability to go wherever they want with no penalty? I mean, you're going no penalty anyways when you enter the transfer portal. So, like, I don't know, but like, I think the only reason I think Bryce Underwood is going to stay was when you were just talking about it with he went to Michigan with the influencers and all that stuff with Tom Brady and stuff like that. But $10 million check sounds pretty nice too.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I mean, unless he pulls off the UCLA quarterback, I can't pronounce. I don't even Nico. Yeah,
Amaliva.
Unless he pulls that crap, I don't really see him going anywhere. To be honest, like I think Michigan can find a good coach. I mean, I feel like they've got in my opinion, the resources. Kind of, I mean, maybe just a little under Ohio State, but I feel like they can get somebody good to fill in, hopefully better shoes than that guy.
Yeah, it's a premier brand in college football. So the question is who, and I think that's up for interpretation as we go on. It's hard to speculate because everyone else is like, they're signed, they're ready to go, like with these new programs. So, Turner, what do you think in terms of the next Michigan coach? Do you think they're going to hire within? Or do you think they're going to explore elsewhere? Maybe go with a guy like Gruden? Maybe go with a guy, that's an offensive coordinator somewhere else in the SEC or in the Big Ten? Or I don't know. I don't know who's available. That, like Chad said, Chad made a really good point saying they're an open checkbook. Blank check. Who would you go after with all of your might?
I mean, I know Kalen DeBoer had to literally put out a post like earlier today or a couple days ago saying like, "Hey, I'm committed to Alabama." So I think Kalen DeBoer was in the whirlwinds of that for conversation, which I don't see why not. Like, I know you're fully committed to Alabama, but like, doesn't hurt to like at least try. And then I thought I heard conversations about the Arizona State head coach being in that whirlwind as well.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of coaches that I see, at least in the current moment, that would literally tell me that Michigan is a good fit. I think the Arizona State one makes sense. Reason why I say that is because he's young. He relates to the players. A lot of the players like to play for him, and I think that's just it's like right now you need a culture change. You need a culture change in the sense of just like, hey, whatever message that was just sent out about our coaching and coaching staff and all the employees that we have at the athletic facilities, that needs to change. And so you don't need a coach that, basically it's just good. We also need a coach that actually can bring everybody together and show that like, hey, Michigan is more than just like what we're seeing here with Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
Which Michigan is like actually a place we want to like develop your kids, get them to the place where they can succeed, all that good stuff. And so right now I don't see a like outlandish pick that just really sticks out there that says, yes, you need to go for that guy. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try Arizona State head coach. We'll see how it goes from there.
That'd be a good pick.
I agree. And that's the type of guy that would avoid all scandals. He wouldn't he wouldn't add to it at all. And I know he reported back to Arizona State's practice, but there's time for a move to be made. And like we saw with Matt Campbell, we'll transition into the Penn State coach briefly, and just we see Matt Campbell do what he does with Iowa State. Josh Pate did a tremendous interview with him, just kind of covering about the culture change he's going to bring to Penn State, the amount of resources that basically he's going to be awarded, and it's such a premier brand with Penn State. And so there's a lot of names that float in the East that just always continue to pop up, like Kalen DeBoer, Mike Elko, these different guys. And they're already found like their premier homes. And so for Matt Campbell, these guys, again, young coaches who are leading young men, turning them into responsible student athletes and guys that professionally developing into professional football players. And you take that to a premier brand, which, you could argue James Franklin was already that, but the standard was not met in terms of Penn State's athletic department. And I really enjoyed what Matt Campbell was talking about in that interview, as well as his presser. He just seems like a good fit. And sometimes it's not about the X's and O's; it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, as we've always heard from the side from different commentators. But he's one of those guys that's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. He's a guy that knows his X's and O's. He can acquire the staff. He can acquire the players. He is the culture change. And so that might bring Penn State back into the fold of a premier brand in college football. But, now you got some players in terms of coaches, ironically, but you got some players in the Big Ten saying, we got Matt Campbell here at Penn State. We got Kurt Cignetti here as the powerhouse in Indiana now. You got Ryan Day winning a national championship in 2024. You got Dan Lanning at Oregon. You got Lincoln Riley, who's now progressing at USC. Was Matt Rule going to produce at Nebraska? The question is, are these Big Ten programs going to play one another? And I think that's what's most important when you got all these good coaches. You want to see them matched up against one another. But what did y'all think of the Turner? I'll start with you. What did you think of the Penn State hire with Matt Campbell? And did you watch the interview or any pressers with Matt Campbell?
No, but I know our boy Josh Pate has always had high things to say about Matt Campbell. I don't think he has a losing record at Iowa State. I think his record is actually pretty nice. I think every time he's gone to the Big 12 championship multiple years, I think his worst record has always been 8-4 or something like that. It's what's that smirk for?
Nothing.
Whatever. Anyway,
he's got a quasi record.
Oh, record.
Is that what I said? Oh no.
I'm sorry. I looked at Chad, and me and Chad were holding back our laughs. He got a really good record. Iowa State.
My girlfriend's never gonna let that go. Anyway,
you have the voice. Yeah,
my voice is stating that Matt Campbell's a good hire. I don't think he should have gone anywhere else with that. I think with how he fits, especially in the northern environment, it's a good fit.
It's not a far travel either from state of Iowa, which is, Iowa's in the Big Ten. Iowa State obviously is in the Big 12, but state of Iowa, moving that geographically over to Pennsylvania, not too terrible of a trip. He mentioned it had to work for his family. It had to work for his kids. And those things are incorporated with taking a job like Penn State, who's basically offering a blank check saying, this is your guy. We know we're pulling you away from Iowa State, which, you've led to multiple 9-10 win years. Recently an 8-4 year on a down year. But he's recruited great players. And so, again, to add on to Turner stuff, Chad, what did you think of the Penn State hire with Matt Campbell?
I think it was a great hire. Just going off Turner, I think even if he didn't make some, a CFP ride, a ride or some sort of big conference, becoming multiple conference champions, going to Iowa State is hard, especially when he was coach. It was if I saw that Iowa State was hosting somebody, I'm oh, Iowa State might win this game. It was, and kind of the same way going to an away game too. Iowa State was it was really good with him at head coach there, and I think Penn State hiring this guy is just going to bring that energy over there, kind of like James Franklin. Have that CFP run, and to have that energy at home. I feel hopefully that energy of, Iowa State hosting a team, now that's Penn State hosting a team, just having that same energy. I think this guy, he might lose 2 games and go to the CFP while at Penn State, if he picks something up.
Bold predictions.
I've predicted better than you. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. It's true.
And the rage bait has begun.
One of the things, to transition out of the head coaching scandals and new hires and things like that, we're going to get more into all that sort of stuff with the 2026 schedule in the offseason. But one of the things that was not on the show notes that was just blatantly obvious that we should bring up is the Heisman Trophy. And so I was looking at it, I was like, what am I doing? So, and because there's a lot to talk about there in terms of, I think we can all agree, because we talked about it over text and, in person, that as the Heisman race was heating up, the 4 finalists that were selected were Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia, Jordan Love, and Julian Sayin.
Jeremiah Love.
What did I say? Jordan Love?
You said Jordan Love.
Hey, shout out Toyotathon, Green Bay, Wisconsin. But yeah, Jeremiah Love. Sorry, yeah, Notre Dame's just been off my mind lately. But yeah, and so I look at that, and we see these. I know I'm an Aggie, but I have to go back to the golden era of Heisman Trophy winners, which was prior to this era of NIL and conference realignment. There was just better quality. There was always these one or two clear cut. These are the Heisman Trophy winners. And so there was nobody on this list, in my opinion, that truly deserved it. I think the media is trying to make the best case to defend someone winning an Heisman Trophy, saying, okay, Fernando, you did all of this. You had a great comeback versus Penn State. You had a tough win versus Iowa. You had 33 touchdowns and 6 picks. And then you go look at Joe Burrow having 60 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and double the yards and a national championship. And you're like, okay. And then on top of that, Jeremiah Love, great season, had 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, this, that, and the other, and I'm looking at all the sub 500 teams they played in the ACC, who the ACC had a very down year. So I was like, okay, they're also, we're kind of, and I'm not saying this out of distaste. They did run up the score on those teams because they had to with the losses early in the year. So they were kind of pouring it on. Additionally to that, Johnny Manziel, a lot of people have probably seen this, had more rushing yards on less attempts with more rushing touchdowns as a quarterback than Jeremiah Love did as a Heisman finalist. Not to mention Ashton Genty having almost 3,000 rushing yards, and Melvin Gordon back in the day with Wisconsin having more than Ashton Genty, and he wasn't even a Heisman finalist. So I looked at this list, and no disrespect to the players, I think they're phenomenal players. I think Jeremiah Love is the best running back in the draft coming up this year, but it was a dog shit list.
Yeah. Have to agree.
I'll say this hot take, and then I'll kind of open the floor up. I'll let Chad kind of talk about the Heisman Trophy winner, whether he agreed with Fernando Mendoza and the candidates. But I thought Jacob Rodriguez should have won the Heisman. And the reason I say that is because he embodied what a Heisman Trophy winner actually is. He was by far the most outstanding defensive player, by far the most outstanding linebacker. He caused, I would say, 6 turnovers on defense. He had a couple of touchdowns. I was almost there. And he was the reason, the catalyst, because the offense didn't yes, they had some good numbers in the Big 12, but in the games that really mattered, like the defense is what carried them to victory. So just stat-wise, eye test-wise, analytically, I thought Jacob Rodriguez embodied the Heisman Trophy, and he wasn't even a candidate. But he had more first-place votes than some of the candidates, the finalists.
I saw that.
Nuts. So
I think Sayan. He had more first-place votes than Sayan.
Sayan was just boring. He's very good. He's very good, and he's going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
But just a boring candidate. And you're like, okay, like he played 4 teams this year. Cool. But anyway, Chad, like with the Heisman Trophy, like how did you look at it with Fernando Mendoza winning and the candidates and just the overall Heisman Trophy ceremony?
I thought the same thing with you. I thought Rodriguez should have won it, in my opinion, or at least been a finalist. I felt like he was a top 3 Heisman Trophy finalist, in my opinion, if not the winner. I mean, they must have seen something that I didn't, but I disagree with their votes. And then to go with, I feel like Fernando Mendoza was a good pick for the Heisman. I mean, the sweet guy.
Yeah, he was probably the best pick.
I just think, you had your season last year with Signetti, and then you come back this year and you beat Oregon. You go and play at Penn State and you beat Penn State, and then you go to the conference championship and you beat Ohio State. And again, I'm not saying Penn State was 10 times better than, I think Indiana should have won that game by 10, in my opinion, not by a toe tap, which was awesome. But on the flip side, I felt like Mendoza's receivers made him look like a superstar. Like just out of this world great. Like his receivers are awesome. Like he even complimented them in his speech. He was like, you guys made me win this Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And Jeremiah Love, I can't stand Notre Dame, so I'm glad he didn't win. Diego Pavia, I don't know. I don't know who. I could say all kinds of things about that guy. And then saying, I feel like it was just, his quote unquote freshman year, if that makes sense.
First year starting.
The Nick Saban story was hilarious. It was like, he put him on scout team, and then he was like, yeah, whoever put him on scout team was an idiot.
Yeah.
And then I feel, Sayan could be, if he keeps up and he does really good things next year, I think he could be a finalist again, in my opinion.
I agree. I thought this wasn't the best that we're going to see of Sayan. I thought, he was very competent this year, very accurate. They praised that in the presentation, but there's a lot more to him. I think Jeremiah Love's still a very young guy. Carnell Tate. I don't know. I think the way that it's going to shape up for Julian Sayan's career, he kind of reminds me of Burrow in the way that he plays college football, but same kind of throwing motion thing, same kind of play pattern. But Turner, what did you think of the Heisman Trophy candidates and winners?
So boring. I just was not into it really much at all. I watched it and I thought it was funny because like Ryan Day, they were like, "Hey, what do you think of like Julian Sayin being here?" And he was just like, "Well, considering he is the youngest and of all of them," and I was just like, "Oh yeah, because Diego Pavia is my age and should be a car salesman."
Yeah. Yes.
No disrespect. Obviously he put Vanderbilt on the map, so like I can't really argue against that point with Diego Pavia, but it's just like how he poises himself with all the stuff you see on his story and all the Instagram things. You're like, dude, oh my gosh, like you want to. He definitely looks like a Johnny Manziel-esque type of person. Not to really like dog on y'all, but dude,
I think Johnny Manziel would agree.
He is not the best person to role model after. I'm just gonna be honest. No. Not at all. Realistically, I do like y'all's Jacob Rodriguez take because like the only reason why Manti Te'o, if y'all remember this, the only reason why Manti Te'o was on that Heisman candidacy was kind of because of his little sob story that he had with that one scandal that he had with like his alleged girlfriend, which turned out to be fake, and a dude. Like y'all saw this Netflix documentary, dude. The whole
Poor
thing.
guy.
Great. Thank God he didn't win it because that would have been a whole different thing within itself. Anyway,
yeah, the most homosexual Heisman Trophy winner ever. It's like,
you're not wrong. It's just like, dude, I just
he picks up the trophy and it's like a rainbow. He's like,
he's got a pride cape on the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah. He's stiff arming a dildo. Yeah, he's like,
oh my gosh,
off the rails. But no, dude, like, look at Rodriguez's stats versus Manti Te'o's stats. I'm pretty sure he has like double his interceptions, like more sacks, more like just the stats are just infinitely better than Manti Te'o's was. But yet Manti Te'o was a second place like Heisman voter, and it's just like that doesn't make sense to me. And I'm with you though too. Like the candidacies, even like this prior year, like look at Travis Hunter, like. Was he average on both sides? In my personal opinion, yes. But like you kind of have to say like, okay, well at least he plays on both sides of the ball, and he actually plays them both pretty well. So I can kind of see where you like how he has that swagger to him. But I also think it's more of a popularity vote. Unfortunately, that came down to it. That's what I really disagree with because I think Ashton Jeanty should have won that. And I see you snickering again, and
we almost lost you. That's why.
Oh my god, my internet issues or something?
Yeah, no, it cut
you're
out.
Back
you're
now. You were gone for maybe 2 seconds.
Both like our heart stopped. We were like,
oh my god. Anyway, Ashton Jeanty, I felt like should have won last year. This year has not been not my favorite of the Heisman votes. Fernando Mendoza should have won it. I'm glad he did. His speech was a little try hard, but that's just me. And
Yes.
that's all I'm going to say about it. Because by this point, probably my whole internet goes down. Because I don't know what else I'm going to say that's going to really just break this thing. Chad, you're already pissing me off.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do a whole podcast about Pavia from that perspective. You know, there's just a lot that goes into it. And you know, the other thing about Pavia is that I didn't expect to have this kind of position on it, but I do think the entire media is after painting him in a really bad image. And
I'd have to
and that
agree.
could, yeah, and that can cause a lot of like confirmation bias to the same as, oh, I think Pavia is kind of a jerk, or Pavia is this, and then like you see Barstool's really bad at rolling out basically diss tracks towards Pavia and finding any type of crap because they know it feeds views. But at the same time, Pavia absorbs it. He absorbs the attention. He absorbs the kind of like the middle finger to the sky with the money to the ear type thing. And like, and I know earlier in the season, you know, Johnny Manziel mentioned he was going to mentor him to make sure he was falling in line. And, you know, I look at like, I'm one of the biggest Johnny Manziel like fans from 2020 or from 2012, but like, you see Johnny Manziel partying with the Bella Danger, holding up like the U sign versus Miami, and that's like a real photo. And throughout the season, he's really focused on basically pioneering Pavia as a Heisman, and it's just like you're not even advocating for your own school, your own alumni, the Aggies. So I found the whole thing the entire year obnoxious. I found it overwhelming to the sense of like, why are we trying to paint this image when it just was all very dysfunctional, and so there was just no way that he was going to win the Heisman. But additionally, stat wise, putting Vanderbilt on the map wise, he actually had the credentials to win a Heisman Trophy. He had similar stats to Jaden Daniels, and other 3,000 pass plus 800 rush. The only candidate that he joins that had that credential that didn't win a Heisman is Dak Prescott from Mississippi State. And Prescott, when he was at Mississippi State during that year, was like top 5 in the nation. So there just was no way I think that Pavia was going to win the Heisman. And, you know, his attitude, I know he did an apology tweet, but his attitude after the show and the ceremony, you know, it's just childish. And what's ironic is he's the oldest. That's what's funny. Like he's like the oldest and should be the most mature, and he's the most immature appearingly out of everybody.
Oh, for sure.
So
I mean, you saw the F Indiana little thing, that video that probably circulated around the internet.
Even his
like,
story.
It's just like, dude, and it happened right after the Heisman candidacy like party. And you're just like, dude, like, not to be like that dude, but you kind of have to set an example for the kids that are looking up to you as well. And that's how you portray to the whole media that's how you want to be. Like, I can't get behind that. I just can't. That's why I'm not really personally a fan of him, because I like, unfortunately, as much as I didn't like how long Fernando Mendoza's speech was and how like it was just so long, at least he had like a really good message to the kids to let them know, like, hey, I was in your shoes as well. You have the potential to be more than what you are currently, and you have have the support system to get to where you are. So that's why I personally, if I was a, what do you call that, morale vote, definitely Mendoza, 1,000%, no questions asked, not even gonna think about it. It's just but I guarantee I can get behind you with like how like maybe how the season played out. SEC is harder to play in the Big Ten, especially with Indiana's schedule. Now they did the Oregon and they beat Ohio State, so it's kind of like there's some mix and matches there. But I don't know. I mean, I can go on and on about this, but I think there was still an interesting way of going about everything.
Yeah. Chad, any final comments on that before we move into your breaking news?
No. I mean, I'm glad he came out and apologized for it, like what he did. And I think that's a good step towards, you know, hopefully being a better role
LinkedIn.
model. But then again, like that's it's back-to-back stuff that bothers me. It's not, it's one thing when he posts the F Heisman voters, these are my fam, and says that, and then apologize for that. But to do that and then go to a party and have that posted about him with the F Indiana thing, that's like, it's like repenting for a sin, and then you're just like, screw it. It's like
do another one.
Really. Like you're already off to a bad start. Like even after apologizing.
Yeah, and in terms of like Turner mentioned, somebody to look up to Pavi. I think the only person that would be is Baby Gronk, but that's about the only person.
I've seen that kid recently, and oh my gosh, have you seen the one where he like gets smoked in the head with like a Coke bottle or Coke can? It's like walking down a hallway in a school, and he just gets smoked in the back of the head with a Coke can.
That's like an antithesis to the Kylie Jenner like Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, I was like sitting in a tree stand watching it. And I mean,
it's like instead of giving the Pepsi bottle, it gets thrown at her, and it's the opposite. They need to make that a Coke commercial.
Just seeing Jared's reaction to that, where he was literally just like,
"You got a Coke bottle thrown at." But all right, let's move it. So third segment here, talking about the the quarterback, transfer or the transfer portal in general. But there's a lot of names in the quarterback arena that have announced they're entering the transfer portal, and some speculative to eventually join it. But some names that I had listed here and were Dylan Raiola, Sam Levitt, Bryce Underwood, speculatively. DJ Lagway was a big one today. Sorsby out of Cincinnati. So these are some big names that could really revamp some programs. Maybe they're taking a step up. Maybe they're taking a lateral step, maybe like such as Lagway or Bryce Underwood or Raiola. So, but these are some good quarterbacks that have announced that they're moving to a different school. But Chad, I believe you have some breaking news that is in relation to this topic. Am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
Okay.
Breaking news. He posted this about 4 or 5 hours ago, but off camera, I was wondering if you had seen it, and from what you were, from what I was saying, you didn't.
I literally laid off social media. I was like, I'm not going to look.
Fan favorite quarterback TJ Finley is filing an NCAA waiver for 1 more year of eligibility.
Oh my God.
He is not staying at the same school he was this season. He is entering the transfer portal. He has been to LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Tulane, and Georgia State. And in quote, due to a season-ending injury sustained in 2024, I am applying for a 7th year, and I have decided to pursue it fully. I look forward to finishing my career at a university that gives me an opportunity to compete, lead, and finish strong. The story isn't over.
Get him out! Get him out of college football. 7 years? I haven't even been in the workforce for 7 years. What are we doing? I'm telling you, I get real heated about these things because, and I did actually see this, by the way, but I get real heated about these things. Guys like Pavia, guys like TJ Finley. I mean, I get it. Sure, you want to cash your check for as long as you can, but he's playing for Georgia State. Is it for the love of the game? I mean, for hell, my God, get these college kids an opportunity. Instead, we got to have 30-year-old TJ Finley, who has like more interceptions and touchdown passes in his career, making another lateral move. Where's he going this year? Southwestern University, a D3 school out in Waco? Like, where are we going now? Retire. Go coach for a private school.
Would you say
it's ridiculous?
I said SFA.
Wait, hold on now. Hold on. We don't need one that bad.
SFA could probably beat Georgia State.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Knowing them.
I mean, after the run they just had this year, yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah. Get them all out.
I just think it's ridiculous how many times he could transfer without penalty. Like with before NIL, it was like I think you had a 1-year pass. Like you could
You could do it once, I think,
one time, and then you had to sit out a year the next time you did it.
Yeah, we need to bring
Where did
back.
that go? Was there a rule that I missed? Like
I
1
think
year
it
they were
happened.
just like.
Go ahead. I'm not gonna.
I was just I was waiting for you to say like when it was, because I'm still waiting on like where was this? Why did they get rid of it? Like
Here's what I believe.
Turning into a trade stock.
Yeah.
I start putting my investments in these players because Bryce Underwood making $10 million.
You've been investing lately, or you've been gambling.
Here's what I believe. In 2030, when the great reset occurs and we're all implanted with Neuralink, and let's say I involuntarily am implanted with Neuralink, I'm going to have a day. It's going to be a Tuesday. It's going to be like July. This podcast was going to be either big, small, doesn't matter. And I'm going to think about TJ Finley. And the Neuralink is going to fucking explode in my head, and I'm going to just die on the spot because of how it's just going to malfunction right then and there. And Palantir is going to go, I don't really know what happened. He was healthy. He took multivitamins every morning. According to our diagnosis, he thought about TJ Finley playing a 9th year in college football, and he just blew up. So, that's what I think. But
hey, Dad, what was primetime TJ Finley like? I'll never know. I guess we'll never know.
Head explodes. Kids start screaming. He's dead.
No, this is what TJ Finley is gonna like. The lore is gonna be like. It's like, Dad, what was TJ Finley like?
Yes,
did it.
I love the soundboard. What a great spot to put that in right there.
All right, yeah. Well, into the nooks and crannies of it all. Sorry if we got a little off track, but good breaking news there. Then happy and pissed that you brought it up.
Yeah, you rage baited Jared this time instead of me. That's
great. You rage baited me on your first episode.
He's really good at this.
So
I'm good at what I do.
With the transfer portal and things like that, they talk about, like, we'll start with Dylan Raiola. Dylan Raiola, they're saying like, oh yeah, he has the chance to do the funniest thing ever and transfer to Texas Tech.
If he does,
if it was up to you, Turner, like with all the names that are out there with the transfer portal, if you could pick one and kind of give a landing spot for one of them, who would you choose and where would you want them to go?
Let's think about this, because obviously
Lagway.
Yeah, Sellers is staying at South Carolina. Then we got Lagway. Dude.
And Lagway's from Willis here in Texas.
Dude. I mean, kind of a weird one. Lagway to Clemson? I mean, I don't know if
actually kind of sick.
I don't know if Sweeney at freaking
Dabo?
Dabo will literally even like want to take him because of the transfer portal thing, how he's like literally just hard stuck to that. But I know Klubnik is probably on his way out. He was supposed to be this like the new he was the Heisman favorite going into this season, along with like a bunch of other quarterbacks, and he just turned out to be a dud. I mean, their whole team kind of just imploded within themselves because of the transfer portal. And so I would, if he would wanted to dabble into this, I would say like Lagway to Clemson. I feel like that'd be kind of a cool one.
I like that.
I think we're gonna stick with that one right now because I just don't right now. I just don't know. It's just there's a lot of players that are gonna opt out of their bowl games as well in order to be healthy for the transfer portal and to negotiate. So I don't want to make way too early predictions until I know the full list, because I mean we're about to talk about bowl games and how that's going to be unpredictable with all the players that are going to be opting out and entering the transfer portal, going to the draft, whole nine. So I think that's going to be the only one that I stick around with, though.
Okay, yeah. I got a hot take for when Chad's done. I think I got a place where I think Lagway might go. Chad, out of those names listed, what do you think?
I think it would be. I think I couldn't tell you who's going where, what I predict. But it would be interesting to see if one of them goes to Florida State. Like,
Ooh,
just with the whole Florida State's beats Alabama, and then everybody was like, oh my gosh, are they back? And then they have like I think a 5-7 record at the end of the year, and then or like, oh, they're gonna fire their coach. It's like, no, they're sticking with their coach, and I'm like, I think it would be interesting to see if like Lagway or the Cincy quarterback go to Florida State.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and it makes sense geographically for Lagway.
Yeah.
Florida to Florida. I saw another report that, DJ Lagway could eye Miami with Carson Beck leaving.
Yeah.
He could go over there with I always call him Crustable, but Crustable. So
it took me a second.
That might be
there.
another. Yeah, there might be another good option. But here's my hot take for where Lagway might end up: Virginia Tech with James.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I
was sitting here thinking, I was like,
that would be huge. Actually,
I was like, who's an upcoming coach who doesn't really have a quarterback? They could acquire some people through the portal that is a top dog name.
Is this Chandler Morris's last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think Chandler Morris, I thought, was at just Virginia.
Oh, is he at just Virginia?
I think he's just at Virginia
Tech. My fault. I got this backwards.
But Virginia Tech, in terms of home atmosphere, has one of the greatest entrances in college football. Like,
their entrances are sick.
Yeah, he's gotten the resources with James Franklin now. Like, I think that's my prediction. I think Lagway goes to Virginia Tech. And then Raiola, I can't see him making.
I don't think he stays
talented.
Power 5 or Power 4.
Yeah, like I can't see him going from Big 10 to Big 12. I don't know. It just doesn't.
Or even ACC. In my opinion.
I don't know. I think that there's a connection somewhere within the new coach hires to where I think he might end up like Penn State might be one because
might not be a bad one.
Yeah, they're going to lose Drew Allar. He has to go into the NFL. He has to announce the draft post injury. The quarterback that they currently have on roster, they met with him, having conversations about what they're going to do with him. But Raiola, Big 10 to Big 10, Nebraska to Penn State, might not be the worst thing in the world. And James Franklin's kind of known for having his type of caliber of quarterback in terms of or archetype, if you will. And then. Yeah, I would say the last one is Bryce Underwood. I think Michigan is going to go through a mass exodus in the transfer portal unless they just find a coach. Obviously, that's like Turner said, that's one of the ones you just got to be speculative of because we don't know who's going to announce for the draft. We don't know who's going to be opting out of bowl games, entering the transfer portal, this, that, and the other. So I think Bryce Underwood is the biggest name to watch in terms of him making a big time move to a different school, and under it could be another Penn State transfer. It could be an SEC acquisition with LSU. I personally believe Donald Chambliss follows Lane Kiffin to LSU, but we'll see. Those are some fun names.
But I mean, we could also throw Raiola to Arizona State since Levitt's leaving there, and then maybe Levitt to Nebraska?
Yeah, Levitt's another big one. He's good. He's a good quarterback.
He is good. I don't think he's had the weapons like he did the year prior with like Scattaboo and like his other receivers. I think they all either went into the transfer portal or the draft. And so
could Levitt just follow Matt Campbell? Or sorry, no, Arizona State. No. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, we're thinking the wrong thing here.
I mean, it would be bad because like they're both from Big 12, so maybe Sam Levitt to Penn State. I mean, it kind of makes sense. They played against each other, so I'm sure.
Calling it right now, Sam Levitt to Florida. I'm playing for Summerall. Oh, you know what?
I don't think that's a good fit.
I don't think so either. I'm with you, Chad.
My apologies. I think that
you can still stick to it.
Oh, Turner, here's a good one for you. The North Texas quarterback.
Oh, yeah. We're just leaving this. We're just leaving this blank.
Well, first off, he can't go Big 10 SEC. That's way too big of a jump.
Exactly.
Let's just make sure that's like Group of 5 to like Big 12 for ACC. Who would need a quarterback at the moment for a 0-star and had a pretty good season for a Group of Five team to where he is now. Well, dude, he might
I think,
follow the head coach and go to Oklahoma State.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think he just goes with Coach Morris.
It's a short drive.
I mean, why not? Like, yeah, literally, it's what 2.5, 3 hours from where Denton is. Like,
I'm doing that. I think that's a phenomenal idea. I think that's a great transition. That's easy.
3 hours from home. He's from Denton. I mean, 3 hours from home. You get probably a better NIL opportunity at Oklahoma State, a better facilities. You stick with your head coach. Like, I think this is. I don't see if it's like sense. It's like Bryce Underwood, switching from LSU to Michigan. Like Michigan offering him $10 million. Like, why would you not? 1, 2, 3. Duh. Take the money.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Eric. Yeah. Go ahead.
Chad, you said he's local. Is he from Braswell?
I don't know where he's.
He ain't from Geyer. That's for
no. He didn't go to Geyer. He might be Braswell.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Cool.
Well, I don't know. He didn't play in high school.
Yeah, he had no snaps.
Yeah. I don't know where his huddle is. I've looked everywhere.
Yeah. He had no huddle.
This huddle highlight is practice. Yeah.
Watch the tape.
Yeah. That's still insane to me that he didn't play in high school. I mean, apparently their best UNC's best wide receiver, like their roommates, they were like high school buddies or something like that. And now they both I guess I don't know how the story went, but they both are now UNT, and I guess now they're both going to Oklahoma State.
That's
to go from
is it official plan?
But I mean, like, it would be
no. I don't see why not. You got your best wide receiver who's good friends, buddies with the quarterback. Like, why would you not take him? You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, the team dynamic is already there,
and it's not a big jump.
No.
I know the Big 12 is pretty premier, and they have a tough schedule pretty much every year because they're playing so many conference games. But Oklahoma State, there's not going to be a lot of competition there in terms of getting a starting job. They've been a 3-9, 2-10 team for the longest time, but before that, I mean, dude, they were 10-2, 9-3 every year, 11-1. They were always combative with Oklahoma, and this is off-season stuff, but if Oklahoma were to get back into Oklahoma State were to get back into relevancy, that's one of those out-of-conference like rivalry games I would want to see Oklahoma play every year, just on the schedule. That's just my personal preference. That's a regional rivalry game that is crucial, and that's what people tune into for, and that's where they talk about like bowl games at the beginning of the year. But and we'll have to skip over like the bowl games, like people leaving the bowl games and things like that, in terms of time constraints. But to transition into those, by the way, guys, great. Like that was, I think we're going to hit on at least one or two of those transfers.
I hope.
So that's kind of fun to speculate about.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's get into college football playoff predictions. Obviously, I want to start it off. I kind of want to divide it where we're not going to be sitting here trying to be different, predicting the G5 games between Ole Miss and Oregon with JMU and Ole Miss with Tulane. Like we've talked about before, I said it on Twitter. The G5 schools are like mom and pop businesses. They, in terms of the local competition and the resources they're provided, they're going to have high reputation. They're going to be 5-star reviewed, but in terms of global competition and global capabilities and resources, they don't have the bandwidth to compete with these guys. And so that's where Josh Pate makes the right take, and where I side with him, saying that they're playing a different sport. And it's only because of the budgetary financial NIL era of college football. So not necessarily predicting these games. We know who's going to win these football games, but do you guys advocate, and Turner, I'll give the floor to you first. Do you guys advocate for a G5 playoff that is separate from the actual college football playoff that with the top 12 teams? And do you believe that the top 12 format should be something where we have the best 12 teams in. I feel like it's common sense, but I think the more important question is, do you support a G5 separate playoff?
I do support that because realistically, look at the turmoil and all the controversy that has started because you wanted to add and be different and add group of five schools. Now, Chad, I'll ask you in a second about how you feel because I feel like from a small school perspective, I feel like there's a part of you that probably want to play big school, but I'll get to that in a sec. I just don't think where like long term, I don't think it's a good idea, mainly because like, dude, we already know the prediction of the game. Like, if it's not, then I hope I eat my words and GMU and Tulane actually put it to the teams and make them work for it. But as of right now, like, look, you can look at the odds. Like, they're like 21-point favorites for Ole Miss and for who's the other team they're playing? I'm already like spitballing here.
Tulane.
Oregon.
Oregon, yeah, thank
Oregon,
you.
yeah.
Like, yeah, they're like 21-point favorites in both games. Like, that's like you really think that's gonna be like entertaining? And those are your prime time games. Like you have the morning game of A&M and Miami. Then at 3:30 you have that GMU game. I'm pretty sure, and then the night game is the Tulane Oregon. And you're just sitting here, it's flipped.
Yeah.
Regardless, like, are you gonna watch them? I'm probably not gonna watch them because we already know the prediction of the game.
Yeah.
So I'm there might be NFL games on, or I might go sit out a deer stand with Chad. I barely go hunting, so
Yeah.
that just shows that I'm not really into those games as much as I should be. So I just don't think it's because at the end of the day, football is a business. And what do we need as a business? We need the most entertained basically college football playoff as possible. And what does that mean? We need to have the best 12 teams within the college football playoff. Now, I mean, if you want to talk about all these teams opting out of these college football playoff game or bowl games, dude, have the group of five have their own playoff and then have a separate lineup there, then have the FCS playoffs on like their schedule here. Like, dude, feel like that just fixes everything that you need right there. Because that fixes a lot of the scheduling with like, Georgia Southern playing who knows now because all those teams that are opting out that are 5-7. So it just really answers a lot of the things that we're missing here of the teams that are opting out. It's like you have scheduling for the big boys, G5, and small boys, and then D2 if you want to even throw those in there. Like we have everything that we need all in one like happy little schedule. But Chad, I'll throw this off to you. Just like in a small school perspective, do you think it's good for these teams to have the opportunity to play against big schools, or do you think that like there's a party that's like it's kind of unfair that they are playing big schools and they don't have the resources?
I think it just depends on the school. Because I mean, you have North Dakota State and South Dakota State who are just in Montana. You got the teams in the north, which is South Dakota State, North Dakota State, Montana State, and Montana, and then you can argue South Dakota as well. And then you have JMU, and I'm going to be biased. You have SFA. You go from, just to go off what you were saying earlier. Like I think you have the bowl games with the Power Four, if they make the bowl game, and then you still make it 6-6. If you're 6-6, you make a bowl game. G5. Make it 7-5. You make 7-5, boom, you're in a bowl game. And then FCS, make it like if they don't make playoffs, like the FCS playoffs, make it like an 8-4 team plays a 7-5 G5 school. Like I think that would be more entertaining than have, a 5-7 Baylor versus a 6-6 Georgia Southern. Like I'm not watching that. Like what the heck? Like
Yeah.
and yes, but I think it just kind of goes based off what kind of schools you have. Like SFA resource wise, no. Like I think we'd have to have a season like we just did to be considered like a bowl game thing. Like when my 2021 season, we went 8-4. God, we lost to Cam Ward when he was at UIW in the playoffs. But I think that team and then this team this year, I think we could keep up with. I mean, we only lost to Montana State by 13 points or something like that. So I think it kind of depends on what kind of school plays that bigger school. Because then, I think it's a great idea, Chad. I think you put the high caliber FCS teams play, the 7-5 G5 schools and that big Power 4 6-6 schools. Like you just increase, because then the G5 actually have something to play for. They're like, hey, if we can make it to 7-5, we can actually continue the year. But if we suck, we suck. We can't do anything. And then it actually gives them an opportunity to fight for a conference championship. I mean, Duke was 7-5 in a conference championship.
Here's the value add you guys are forgetting is, there's in the world of college football today, almost everybody is looking for a sponsorship. I mean, you got the Bucked Up LA Bowl or whatever. It's like, well, it didn't used to be called the Bucked Up LA Bowl. You have a financial incentive opportunity to say, okay, well, in these FCS games, there's pay me games. There are opportunities to increase, like revenue sharing, to increase revenue, and the scholarship amounts that FCS and Group 5 teams have in comparison to the Power 4 teams is at a lesser rate. And so you're basically creating an incentive to say, well, let's add more bowl games. Let's put them at more neutral sites. Let's host these events, because there is a fandom for FCS and G5 schools. So if you get a 7-5, or let's put it this way, you get an 8-4 Memphis, and you play them against an 11-3 SFA at the at some bowl game geographically located in an area to where people want to go travel for it, and it hosts about 50,000 people in the stadium or something like that. That makes money for the new coming sponsorship. That makes, you can have podcast host the thing. You can have, there's a lot of opportunities to say, let's add this into college football. And it's not a disrespect to either team, but it's revenue sharing opportunity. And then schedule wise, you align the bowl games, these new bowl games, with the like the Tarleton State playoff schedule, whatever playoff schedule that they're aligned with. And the season ends at an appropriate time. Everybody plays a competitive team. These are opportunities for FCS players to be scouted by FBS players or FBS scouts and coaches. And it gives everybody an opportunity to play more, get more exposure, and these sponsorships to get more money. It's a phenomenal idea. So
I'm so smart. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And you can clean it up to where it's like, okay, if you have you don't have to get to 7-5. Maybe you can just get to 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some, rough around the edges stuff we can clean up.
Right.
But again, like this is part of that. I think it's going to be a big focus in the off season, to where I think what we're going to do as contributors and as a network is we're going to construct an entire college football season. We're going to fix college football.
Mm-hmm.
We're going back in time to take turkeys off the menu.
and just to go off what you said, like, imagine SFA playing Memphis in a bowl game, like in the revenue, like there's so like we do a bowl game prediction every year. Like, I guarantee you we're not the only people to do this. And I guarantee you, like, people at home during break, they're visiting family, they have nothing else to do. They're like, oh, there's a bowl game on, It's like, oh, it's not Massachusetts versus Sam Houston State. It's 11-3 SFA versus 8-4 Memphis. Like, something interesting. No offense, Ryan.
Like, the thing that I really enjoy about December is Bowl Mania. Like, they're talking about moving it towards the beginning of the year, and I'm not behind that, because ever since I was a kid, I loved watching Bowl Mania in December and just taking off Christmas break and watching football from, like, literally when does it start? Like the 17th all the way to almost New Year's Eve. with like there's so much football to consume that I'm literally just sitting there rotting, eating my freaking chips like a little fatty, and just and just watching football. It's the best thing. It's the best time ever. Like people get mad at me, like Turner, you don't do anything. Like, well, it's probably because I enjoy not doing anything and watching this. I don't know,
Well,
but
all the more reason. Again, all the more reason. You said bowl games. The idea of putting bowl games at the beginning of the year, and they don't have to be these random games. They could be your rivalry games. They could be your out of conference game. They could be that sort of thing. But that puts the FPS bowl games at the beginning of the year with meaning. And then that puts FCS/G5 bowl games at the end of the year with meaning. So no matter how you've split the pie, you've got meaningful bowl games in both spots. There's something to play for. There's a trophy to be had. There's exposure to be had. There's rivalries on the line in week 1. And it's viewership, it's entertainment, it's revenue share. I mean, it's all of the above. The incentives are endless.
So you're saying that
FBS bowls at the beginning of the season, FCS/G5 at the end of the season.
Like with the
then
playoffs?
You have playoffs going on as well.
Gotcha. I think I do like that actually.
Because bowl games are going to be completely pointless. As the FBS continues, well, we're out of the playoffs, nothing to play for, and the transfer portal happens, and blah blah blah.
Well, Chad made a good point too. I think he threw out the idea that our dad made. It's like if you opt out of a bowl game, you don't get to participate in the college football playoff next year, or you're ineligible for it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's kind of like, hey, if you don't participate in what we do, then you don't get to reap the benefits. But at the same time, it's just like, well, it's not like a reward though. Like we get to hold up, we get to be drenched in freaking mayo in the Mayo freaking bowl, like whoopty freaking doodah. You win free mayo for a year. Like I don't even like mayo.
Yeah.
It's like the players at the Pop-Tart Bowl. They got like a big ass table full of just like Pop-Tarts delivered to them. There's like, well, I'm so glad we're not participating in this. But like you have to find a way. It's another one of those blatantly obvious things that I talked about last week in the solo episode was you have to find meaning for these games or else they're going to dissipate. They're going to be pointless and you're going to get bad quality football. You have to find a way to where it's like, okay, if you win this game, you get this or you get that. And whatever those ideas may be, I don't know. We can brainstorm on it and there's plenty of time to do so. But great ideas. Now, going into the college football playoff matchups, we'll start with number 8 versus number 9. We got Oklahoma versus Alabama, big time SEC rematch. John Mateer going in there, kind of about 2.5 months removed from the surgery to his throwing hand. Defense is the name of the game for Oklahoma. Alabama, people were speculating, should they have been in the playoffs, this, that, and the other. They're bitching and whining about Alabama because they got their ass kicked in the conference championship. But we also saw the generational run that they went on to the middle of the season where they had 5 or 6 ranked SEC wins in a row. We've seen high quality football. They've had a couple weeks to kind of rest up and get things under wraps. And, they have to prove something. They have to prove that they belong in the playoffs. So there's incentive on both sides to say this is going to be a very, very tight ball game. Probably one of the toughest matchups in this round of the college football playoffs on the board. So, and you look at Alabama and Oklahoma. Chad, I'll start with you. Did you have what were your predictions for the upcoming matchup?
Well, I really think. No, I'm just kidding. I think that
Rage Band has started.
Yes. So I still think Oklahoma is going to beat Alabama, and it could be by 1 or by 3. I think this year's going to be. I mean, what was it? 20? What was the game?
23-21, I believe.
2 points. I think it's going to be just as close, if not closer. I don't see how Alabama's favored as 1.5 points, especially. I know it's the beginning of the season.
It's a home game for Oklahoma.
Yeah, too. It's a home game for Oklahoma. They lose to Oklahoma at Alabama this year, and then they go to the conference championship, get absolutely destroyed. Not absolutely, but get beat down by Georgia. And, like it's a recipe for disaster for Alabama, in my opinion. I to go to Norman after already losing your conference championship game to Georgia, and already losing at home to Oklahoma, I'm just like, I don't know how Oklahoma isn't favored. I would have them favored by 3.5 points, in my opinion.
That's a good point.
Maybe 2.5, like if that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Turner?
Yeah, I'm with Chad. I mean, I don't think it's still be a close game, but it's gonna be a low scoring game. It's gonna be quite boring because I mean, look at the Oklahoma LSU game. LSU is like just keeping. I mean, Oklahoma's offense just can't really produce the numbers that like an Ohio State offense or Indiana offense could do with the teams that, against other conferences. Granted, it's SEC. We can go out of the debacle later down the road, but I just don't think that Alabama is on a high. They have really struggled these past couple of games. I mean, look at the Auburn game, and then they only beat them by a touchdown, but it was like that they really didn't score in the second half of the Auburn game at all. Auburn really like started putting it to them, and then we saw the Georgia game. And Chad, and just to correct you, yeah, they did get spanked. Like they lost with 21 points, and the fourth quarter, that touchdown that Alabama had was a pity touchdown. It was like late fourth quarter. You're just like it had no impact, literally, of the game. So I still think Oklahoma wins. It's not by much. I probably have by like 3, maybe like 20-17.
Oklahoma. Yeah, I think what's important for Alabama is if you've noticed with the games that they have been close with subpar SEC teams. Jam Miller is not playing for Alabama. There's not really an established run game. And Ryan Williams has to find a way to come alive, in my opinion. Kirk Herbstreit said this, and it's kind of a shocking statement, but he was like, he's just not a pass catcher, which is wild to say about a receiver, but the amount of drops that he has, I don't think he's just the weapon that everybody has hyped him up to be. So I think there is a kind of a false flag operation going on with Alabama, basically saying we are this, but in reality, when you face a team that has an identity, like we don't really know Alabama's identity. We really don't, because when they get in these tough, nitty-gritty matchups, they kind of fold under pressure or they're high turnover differentials. But Oklahoma, we know exactly what they are. They don't really care how they win. They just do. And with the battle-tested schedule that they have, going 10-2 was quite the feat. I know Mateer, that offense, they don't really protect the quarterback well. They don't really establish the run game. It's kind of mediocre, and the receivers aren't really getting open in space. But their defense is what wins somebody a championship. A lot like a Notre Dame last year, where that defense kind of led them to each different game against Georgia. I know they had the backup quarterback, but the defense for Notre Dame in the secondary was phenomenal. So I think it's going to be a lot like that. A part of me wanted to say Alabama puts it together because they have a chip on their shoulder to prove something, and it's really hard to screw up 4 games in a row. But I think Oklahoma has a chance to go win it all. Not saying that they will, but I think they have a good chance. I think people are underestimating them. I think Oklahoma wins this game. I'm going to say Oklahoma wins this game 16-13.
God.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's how they like to win, man. It's just low scoring, and it's like, oh, they were close with LSU. It's like, bro, they've been close with everybody.
Yeah. So I think like the last, I think I said this before, like when we were in a text, I think like the last 2 games, like I think the score was like 17-6. Like the total of the game was 23 points, 24 points or something like that. I'm like, good grief.
Exactly. It is an exciting football, but they do find a way to win. And then on the flip side, the Texas A&M Aggies are the 7th seed. They're playing at home versus the Miami Hurricanes, and a lot of controversy around whether the Miami Hurricanes should be in the college football playoff. You've had a couple of hiccups with Carson Beck throwing interceptions against Louisville and SMU, but had a pretty dominating first portion of the season. They're kind of starting to peak at the right time, and they're dangerous. But College game day is going to Texas A&M. A&M is a pretty dominant team at Kyle Field. It's a very tricky environment to go into. What's interesting about this game from an Aggie perspective is 2 things. 1, when college game day goes to Kyle Field, they're 1-11. 2, they have this weird ticky-tack relationship with Miami when they play them. They've been miles better than Miami in the past and still lost. It's been one of those weird out-of-conference games. We went over there, we lost. They came here, and we beat them. So it's kind of like the best out of 3 that's going to happen here. And of course, A&M is a little bit sour after the Texas Longhorns spoiled their undefeated season in their SEC championship appearance, but that's given them 3 weeks to get healthy, 3 weeks to kind of recoup and set sights. So with all that being said, Chad, what are your predictions for this matchup?
I think A&M snaps the college game day, quote unquote, curse. And I think Texas A&M wins. I'm gonna go 24-20. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game, but I also think that it's gonna be a big fight between Marcel Reed and Carson Beck. Like I think I'm not saying that, offense, you have to have a good offense and a good defense. But I think this game is going to come down to Marcel Reed and Carson Beck. Because if Marcel Reed played the way he did against South Carolina, I think they beat Texas and they're in the SEC championship. Or whoever.
In the second half?
Yeah. Or if they have better play calls. Like I think, but if they don't, then I think it's going to be like 21-20 or something like that. I still think A&M comes on top, but I think this one's going to be big on Carson Beck and Marcel Reed.
I mean, that's another question I asked. Like, do y'all have Colin Klein in all this?
No, we had to elevate. I can't remember. I saw his name literally earlier today, but we elevated him to. Well, I did read that Colin Klein is doing the remainder of the season. That's what I read. While you're doing the predictions, I'll double check on that.
Well, I mean, I have my theory that Texas A&M might have thrown the game to not play the SEC championship because it might be worse for their seeding. But that's just me putting on a tinfoil hat. Realistically, I'm with you, Chad. It is going to come down to Carson Beck and Marcel Reed. Because realistically, I think both of them are going to throw at least 2 picks each. Yeah. And it's just really going to come down to who's going to be more poised, who's going to have more composure in the pocket. Because Marcel Reed, I think he needs to be more of a scrambler when it comes to these scenarios like this. Carson Beck, obviously, is not really known for his scrambling ability, but he can definitely throw on the run if he needs to. I just think Miami's defense is pretty good. I just don't, literally the only reason why Miami has had their struggles is because of the offense. I mean, the defense has kept them in the SMU game where SMU, for the entirety of the quarter, had 2 rushing yards up until overtime. Literally, they quit because Carson Beck threw a goal line freaking interception. They were just like, well, they can just kick a field goal and win this freaking thing. So,
yeah.
But I do think playing at Kyle Field is probably one of the hardest places to play because of how loud it is and with how many people are going to be there. And it's just the environment there. It's just going to not be in Miami's favor. So I'm going to go A&M. I think they win by... I think I'm with you, Chad. I'm going to win by 4, but I think it's going to be 31-27. I think it's going to be a little high scoring. Yeah. I think it's going to be a slow first half, but the second half is when it really starts popping off.
I feel like all first round games are super slow.
Yeah,
it's even the past, with who did Penn State play in the first round?
It was SMU
boys or SMU.
Yeah, I just felt like that game was super slow, and then it was just boom.
Well, it's because SMU was it? Who's their quarterback again?
Jennings.
Yeah.
He threw 4 interceptions. That's why it was slow, and nobody really
didn't have the depth.
Yeah, they just literally just got. I mean, it was a whiteout game at Penn State. This.
When they're winning that in the North.
Yeah, exactly. It's prime time. Whiteout. It's loud. It's just.
It's cold.
It's cold. Yeah.
I'm gonna call this. If Marcel Reed throws 2 picks in the first half, A&M doesn't score in the second half. I'm going to throw that. I think Marcel Reed's just going to go, in my opinion. I think his morale is going to go down. I think his offense, I think he's not going to have any confidence because I guarantee you that was in his head when they were playing Texas. Like, It was just like, what are these play calls? Like, I guarantee you that's what he was saying to himself. But he can't, I'm not saying he can't question it, but what are you saying?
I'm just gonna disagree with you there because, like, have you not seen Mike Elko's halftime speeches? Like, it makes you want to run through a freaking brick wall with how many F-bombs he drops.
I still have speculation that A&M did what they did, not on purpose, but, when Marcel Reed rolled his ankle, I think they were like, we got to preserve. We know we're a playoff lock. And so I was like, I don't know, you guys are laughing at me. I'm not saying they lost on purpose. I'm saying I think they made the offense vanilla in a way to conserve Marcel Reed because he rolled his ankle. I think that's a real fear. They said, well, what's more important, a rivalry game versus Texas or getting into the playoffs? And so I don't know. I think my philosophy would have been, let's beat Texas. But, when your star quarterback, who was a Heisman candidate at the time, rolls his ankle in the first half and he was down on the ground, you're like, oh, shit, we kind of have a bigger picture to play here. So the offense for Texas A&M can sometimes go into a complete shell, and you can kind of watch that. But what every team, Jacob pointed this out weeks ago, what every team does against Texas A&M is they make one decision on defense. It's either stack the box or they drop 8. They're either going to they're going to make Marcel Reed beat you through the air, or they're going to make the run game beat you. And so what they've been doing lately after the loss of Le'Veon Moss is they're trying to make Marcel Reed beat you. And they're dropping 7-8 into coverage every play. And so you're probably going to see a lot of that versus Miami. But at the same time, I did look it up. Colin Klein is going to remain the coordinator throughout the end of the year. I remember reading that. But they promoted Holman Wiggins, the wide receivers coach, to permanent OC when the season is done. So they already found their replacement for coordinating. What I see from Marcel Reed and the offense this game is it's going to be they're going to try and establish the run game first and foremost. They're going to try and take the pressure off of Marcel Reed. I think Marcel Reed's going to get more active in the running game. I think they're going to try and run him a lot more to kind of have that respect to say, okay, we do have to stack the box, and that might open some explosive plays for Mario Craver and Concepcion, who has been dealing with an injury as well. Le'Veon Moss is questionable, but if he were to play, he would be the catalyst, in my opinion. That dude is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal running back. He just has an injury problem. Flip side, defense. Miami's defense is pretty good. And Carson Beck, he's good when he chooses to be. When his eyes are looking forward and not side to side, I think Carson Beck plays really well. But there are times when Carson Beck is literally, I know he's a quarterback, but he's literally the reason that they lose. He has this tendency to make dumb decisions. And so with Cassius Howell rushing the quarterback and Willie the Third and Scooby Williams and Torian York playing linebacker, I think Texas A&M gets after him. I think they get some pressure, causes some turnovers, makes it more relaxing for Texas A&M offensively, and A&M wins this game 34-23. I think it's going to be kind of like, I know there's a lot of pressure around A&M right now, but I have seen it. I believe in Elko's. I believe in their unit. I believe they're a talented team, and I don't think they're going to let their fans down at home, but it is going to be competitive. I think it's going to be close to the first half, like you guys were mentioning. That is what A&M does, and then that halftime comes through, and they're just a different team walking out in the second half. But 34-23, Texas A&M at home. They advance to play Ohio State. We'll see how that goes.
Yippee!
All right. Well, we covered everything, gentlemen. So
I do want to say one thing.
Yes.
Audience, don't be so hard on Jared. He was looking up the Colin Klein situation, so that's why he repeated everything that I just said in that moment where I literally started to freak out a little bit.
Talking about when I said Colin Klein was returning?
That's why we were laughing so much.
Because you literally say, like, the one, like, tinfoil hat, like, oh, they might have, like, lost on purpose. I literally said that in my little segment when I was speaking.
I was just adding on to your stuff.
and you were saying I wasn't going to listen.
I know. How the turntables.
Yes.
I had a reason.
Yeah, which is why I said it. That's why
I'm moderating here.
I put my hand up over here, letting the audience know.
The way you leaned into the camera was really funny.
I felt like his forehead come towards the camera.
All right.
Oh my gosh!
I got a big.
No,
noggin.
that's what I meant. Like, I can see your head. Like when I'm in my peripheral.
I was saying you got a big head.
Are you serious?
No,
dude, I'm contacting HR in this shit. Are you kidding me?
On the setup, your screen is on the right side of my computer, so if you're moving, I can see you on peripheral.
Oh, likely. So now I'm a big guy, is what you're trying to tell me. Oh, dude, I can't handle this slander.
No, you're small.
Now,
yeah. See, which one do you want? Yeah. We thought you and Chad were going to be the ones bickering.
Yeah, I know. This is fun.
Yeah,
I like being on this end of the stick.
Yeah, no shit. Don't think you're out of the woods yet, though, you little hooker.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, thank you guys for joining in. What's going on?
What the heck is going on?
That's
what
funny.
happens in this story is gets you picked up one by one.
It was just good banter. It's fun.
Put that on the record.
Yikers.
All right, gentlemen. That was a good pod, boys. Again, if you made it to this far in the episode and this is your first time listening or you're a returning guest, you can find us at Shatter the Script on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, watching or listening. And then on TikTok, Instagram, and X, you can search at Shatter the Script as well. Although TikTok, there might be a temporary hiatus of posting so that we don't get permanently banned. But at the moment, we are shadow banned on TikTok. So I don't know what's going to happen on that front. But posts will still come out on YouTube Shorts, Twitter, and Instagram in the meantime. Also, as we get into the off season, of course, with the addition of Chad and Turner, Aune, and as well as Jacob and Ryan, we will be having a very, very fun and like kind of an orchestrating a new type of schedule for the entire college football platform. So keep in mind for that. This contains conference realignment, scheduling, bowl games like we discussed today, a G5 layout, all that sorts of stuff. So that'll be really entertaining to look forward to after the season is completed. And then, of course, Christmas is coming up around the corner. We'll be announcing, scheduling for whether or not an episode is going to be released. I imagine we'll get one out before Christmas. And then that'll be, and we'll go, I guess, towards New Year's to cover the national championship. So maybe different scheduling. We might be releasing on different days throughout the Christmas and New Year's. So in case you don't see you, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you guys. So should be a fun holiday. Turner, Chad, thanks you guys for joining. And, Chad, it was a great audition. Had fun with you on. And I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Yes, very soon.
All right, gentlemen. We will see y'all later.
You.